For women are more intelligent than men. Hans-Georg Lanzendorfer. Translation by Wiebke Walder, 11th of February 2014. A cheer for the female gene and intelligence. Even at the beginning of the third millennia, in many places on our planet, women are still considered inferior, without rights, and underdeveloped. In certain regions of our Earth, as subhuman beings of a lower status, they are still viewed as a pure necessity for giving birth to the male offspring. In a demeaning and inhuman kind of way, women are treated as working animals, sexual objects, and objects for the satisfaction of the sex drive, or as the possession of many men without any rights or determination. They are traded like goods and often sold and enslaved in exchange for domestic animals such as goats and cows. After sexual use and the material exploitation of their working power and the theft of their possessions or their dowry, they are beaten, raped, abandoned, murdered, mistreated, maimed, burned, or, based on male delusional laws and bagatelles, they are shot, stoned, or otherwise put to death. Defenseless women are punished for male inadequacy, irresponsibility, belligerence, inferiority complexes, masculinity delusion and religious delusion, male chauvinism, masculine showing off and masculine fanaticism, and so forth. They alone allegedly bear the blame when a certain kind of men cannot control their sex drives because the existence and presence of the woman, her clothing, her charms, and her figure alone, allegedly are the blossom of the evil, blossoms which are able to lead the poor man into temptation and bring him out of control. The man therefore determines the law and the guidelines, which the women kindly and submissively have to comply with, and their cries and calls for help die behind the walls of their prisons and front doors. For many delusional men, the blame of the misery of the world supposedly lies based in the nature of the woman. Men, so blindly and wrongly educated in their consciousness and thinking, often from a young age only know contempt, abasement, and disdain for the women. This is an unimaginable unfairness which cannot be described with words. Sanctimoniously, men of this type honor and respect their own mothers. However, the fact that one's own mother is a woman, who on the other hand is treated human disdainingly by men to whom she is unknown, often simply seems to play no role in the thinking of many men. Playing just as small a role is the fact that with unknown women it concerns mothers, daughters, and sisters of other men, who, however, for their part grant no humaneness at all to the unknown women. But whoever believes that the oppression and the contempt of the rights and equality of the women is only confined to certain regions, countries, or in certain social classes errs tremendously. Even in our highly civilized and well-informed Switzerland, as well as in many parts of Europe, the women continue to fight against prejudice, disregard, and being sneered at from the ranks of the intelligent men's world. Still today, in the world of employment, the woman has to fight against various disadvantages, as for example, unequal wages. Also, in the professional life and in everyday life, many male bastions still exist which are denied to women. Women pay higher healthcare insurance premiums than men simply because they are women and allegedly their health is dearer to pay for than that of the noble men. Terrorism against women often happens in the immediate surroundings and on the smallest scale and doesn't always have to be visible. The real attitude and the true opinion of the men in regards to women often only becomes clear and distinct in certain situations. Woman behind the wheel. Monster! Typical woman. She looks like a hooker. Whoever is blonde and at the same time works at a hairdressing salon is, without adding to it, branded with a stamp of a certain disreputableness. According to a newspaper interview, an investigation has been initiated against the commander of the Conveyance Officers School Bülach, Colonel of the Military Staff René Koller, due to misogynist statements. Daily Advisor of the 6th of December 2001. In the newspaper he was quoted with the sentence that there would never be a women's army in Switzerland. Furthermore, the officer described women in the army as a disturbing factor. It has barely been 35 years since, in Schaffenhausen, passengers got out of a bus again because they were to be driven by the first female driver. On Wednesday, the 5th of December 2001, the following report went through the media. Stoning postponed. After being raped by her cousin, a 35-year-old Nigerian woman was accused of adultery and sentenced to death by stoning. This after she personally reported his offense to the police. The man was acquitted. This kind of example raises the question, what kind of perverse world is this one in which we live? A world in which even the judicature has placed itself on the side of men using Gewalt. By and by, the time comes for the men to comprehend one important fact. Behind the women is concealed much more than the technical understanding of a coffee or a washing machine, the operation of an iron, or the learning by heart of weekly specials. The women are the ones who are able to teach and convey to the man the real values of life. By nature, the women, as the bearers and the givers of life, are intended to protect the life, to keep the peace, and to teach harmony. As the givers of life, they mirror the essential creational principle of peace, of intelligence, and of progress. Wars and destruction are the domain of the men. Countless battles, disputes, and other deadly disagreements in history could have well been averted through the following of female advice. For many men, it is time to recognize one important and fundamental truth. True manliness does not just reveal itself through a despotic and imperious presence, through muscle packs, male virility, power, and broad shoulders, and so forth. Rather, in understanding and rational as well as equitable thinking, feeling, and acting in regard to the women. However, also in regard to the esteem, honor, as well as in the preservation of the equivalence of men and women. Also see the FIGU brochure, The Suppressed and Disregarded Equivalence of Man and Woman, by Billy E. A. Meyer, Beam, and Hans-Georg Lanzendorfer. The disparaging, contemptuous, and inhumane behavior of many in the man's world towards the women, mothers, and girls and sisters is obviously disgraceful. It testifies to horrendous low intelligence and to indescribable primitiveness. Without any understanding, the majority of men do not have an inkling about how much they are dependent on and formed by the women in actual reality, even though many men cannot understand this and deny, ridicule, and negate this fact. Nevertheless, they simply and solely have to thank their mothers, and thus, naturally, the women, for a substantial part of their intelligence. These issues and facts were also published by the human geneticist Horst Hameister in the Daily Advisor from the 23rd of November 2001 under the section Knowledge in an interview with the title Disappointing for the Men, the Intelligence of Humanity is Up to the Women. Horst Hameister is Professor of Human Genetics at the University of Ulm.